As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. Hi, guys. Welcome to Psychic Babes. I'm your host, Kirsten Sandifer. Today, I have an amazing guest who I had the pleasure of meeting last week at his sound bath. Today, we have Craig Goldberg on the show. He is one of the co-founders of inHarmony Interactive, and he's a founding member of the TeamU network, which is focused on holistic nutrition and DNA wellness. And he's also a vibroacoustic therapist. And he's an amazing individual. Had such a pleasure of meeting you last week and experiencing this whole sound bath thing, which believe you guys when I tell you that this is some next level stuff that they are working with. It's truly, I have no words in English actually to describe the experience, but we're going to try nevertheless. So welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate being here. And yes, a relatively magical, I say that specific, relatively magical connection that we had. And I've been loving our conversations, and I'm looking forward to this one. Glad we're recording this one.
Yeah, me too. I know. So can you tell us a little bit about what got you started on your spiritual journey or your spiritual awakening? Like, give us a little bit of background about who Craig is.
Yeah, totally. I grew up in New York, and I grew up on Long Island. I went to school in upstate New York and then New York City, and eventually got into New York City nightlife. It's interesting that that's where the story begins, because it's probably the least conscious environment that you could possibly throw yourself into. And I was there for 10 years in New York City hospitality, and you worked in hospitality as well, so you can
another
appreciate.
Connection, yeah.
Right. So the people that I met there, it's interesting, the journey that we start and where it all kind of started is really understanding and appreciating connection to other people. I met my wife. We 3 months after, we went on a little vacation down to Jamaica and realized we had a much deeper spiritual connection. The second day I was with my wife, I knew we were going to be together for life. And she's a big part of my spiritual journey, because we've been growing together. We became conscious together. We've been together now for 12 years. We met in October of 2018. Don't tell EPEC. October 20, at the end of October
We'll edit that out.
Of 2008. We'll edit it. So when we met, literally on the second day, I knew that I was going to be with her. And at the time, I was working in New York City nightlife. It was in 2012 that my wife and I together just began enlightening. And it was, you're going to be sad when I mention this, but it was our trip to Burning Man, and being out there in the desert, being disconnected from the world around us. Look, 2012 was a big year in general for that, right? The Mayan calendar, all the things that were happening. There were a lot of people, when I asked when you became more conscious and aware, a lot of people were waking up that year, and now people are waking up more and more ever since. And for us, it was 2012, and it was that trip to Burning Man, and disconnecting from these amazing devices and getting away from technology and having the presence to be with one another, to connect on a spiritual level. And of course, everything else that goes along with being out there in the desert. But it was ultimately that trip that kind of catalyzed that change. And me and EPEC, both of us, I still remember the conversation that we had coming off the playa, driving home. It was 16 hours for us to get to Reno, which is a really long time for a really short trip. And we were talking the entire time and reflecting on these experiences that we had just a few days before, and the connection that we had drawn. And of course, it just continued to be more intentional and more conscious of all of the decisions, all of the inputs, and all of the things that were impacting our life at the time. It's really interesting.
Wow, that's amazing. So had you meditated and things like that before, or did you just then start a meditative practice?
So it's really interesting. I've always had a really hard time meditating.
Really?
I go nonstop. My human design, I'm a manifesting generator. My charts are all through the roof as far as activity and an active mind. And I've always had a really hard time shutting it down. Now, what's interesting, as my journey will have taken me over the last 5 years with holistic health science and now inHarmony Interactive, And focusing on vibroacoustic therapy, I've learned more and more about the brain. And I've learned more and more about what it really means to drop into that meditative state. And we can drop in and talk about a bunch of it because I love talking about it. But what I realized back then, it's interesting. We hear so often about how important it is to meditate and how the enlightened ones, they take time and energy to meditate 2, 3, 4 hours a day or more.
Yeah.
Right? Like I couldn't even imagine, I couldn't even sit cross-legged for 15 minutes, let alone 2 or 3 hours, especially not on stone or rock or something like that, right? I guess you build it up. And so we all hear about the benefits of it, but not many people, I think, really understand what meditation actually is.
Yeah,
and I don't think they realize the different brainwave states. People ask me a lot when it pertains to the technology, and I know we're going to talk about it. Well, can this help me sleep? And I usually reply by saying, well, what types of issues are you having with sleeping? It's the same for a meditative state. Do you meditate? Well, I have trouble meditating. Okay, well, do you have trouble getting into a meditative state? Do you have trouble staying in a meditative state? Same questions about sleep, right? Do you have trouble falling asleep? Do you have trouble staying asleep? Can you not focus?
Are you constantly interrelated, right?
Yeah, it's just different brainwave states, right? What do you call sleep? Well, it's really just a unified brainwave state, slowing down your brain, focusing on different aspects, not functioning as high as we are right now, eyes open and engaged with the world around us. So for me, the meditation, actually, I didn't start meditating until way longer than that. 2015, 2016, 2017, when I started to really dive into and begin using vibroacoustic technology, sound. And it's interesting, even now as you bring that up, right? Now, even thinking back, so I'm a club kid, and I can tell you that going to a nightclub, and I used to promote parties when I was 16, right? So those parties, going out dancing with your friends all night, hip hop and that sort of thing, I wouldn't call that necessarily meditative. However, back in the day of Sound Factory in New York City, or when you're listening to techno or house music and it's the same repetitive beat over and over and over and over again, it's a form of meditation. Sitting on the speaker and being surrounded by sound and frequency, now understanding obviously what that means on the body is one thing, but still going there and listening to me, people are like, how can you listen to the music? It sounds exactly the same. And I hear the differences in house music, right? But some people don't. I also have a chance to turn off my brain, and I'm not processing the same things that I'm processing. And that in itself is a form of meditation as well. So it's really interesting when you start to think about what a meditative state truly is and what's actually happening in the brain. You're basically just it's like fasting. You're giving your brain a break from processing the world around it by drifting into a slower brainwave state like alpha or theta, and giving your body the ability to focus on different aspects, because your brain uses an awful lot of energy.
And that's when also messages can come in from other dimensions and other places. That's when we get downloads, is when the mind is quiet, because if it's chatter all day long, the messages can't come through.
And we are just the human experience is to be busy. The human experience is to always have something going on, always be involved in something. And if you don't have anything going on, this would sure create something that you've got going on. Right? Like another notification, another bing, another bop, another boop. And before you know it, your whole day is gone. But yes, you're 100% correct. Calming and relaxing the mind allows the body to pick up on things that it otherwise wouldn't be able to pick up on. Different brainwave states. A beta brainwave state is where we are now, eyes open, processing the world around you. We spend most of our waking hours in beta. Consciously and subconsciously, our mind is processing a lot of information. My air conditioning is on. You can't hear it, but some part of my body knows my air conditioning is on, even though I'm focusing my attention exclusively on you. Should somebody come through that front door right now, part of my body would react. Should something fall in the closet in the back, part of me would be. So that beta brainwave state is very active, between 14 hertz and 40 hertz as measured on an EEG. Just below that is alpha. Alpha is like that daydream state. If you ever like snap out of it, wake up and realize
autopilot.
Yeah, like you were just doing, you're still kind of awake and aware, but you're kind of like a little out of it. Theta, a little bit below that, is where really recovery begins, and rejuvenation starts in alpha, and it really kind of completes itself inside theta. Theta is where we are doing rapid eye movement, sleep. It's a dream state. It's a lot of astral projection happens there, and then delta beneath that, about 4 hertz down to about 0.5 hertz. A lot of cellular regeneration happens in delta. And if you've ever tried to move a friend and it's like moving dead weight, they're like out cold.
Yes.
They're in a delta brainwave state. There's just motor skills are shut down. Body is heavy. So teaching the body to go from different brainwave states will obviously open up those abilities and allow you to connect deeper with yourself and access different parts of your consciousness and the collective consciousness as well.
Cool. Well, so if you can kind of just explain on a very like surface level what the sound bath is kind of about. Sure. And how you came up with it.
Yeah. So it's sound and frequency. So I'm traveling, I'll take you back to 2012. I go to my first Burning Man. I become enamored with the festival lifestyle, transformational festivals in particular, which of course Burning Man fits into that, but a yoga retreat, same thing. You go in one way, you come out another, you have transformed. And there's nothing like a 2 or 3 day yoga retreat with some meditation or savasana or yoga nidra, where all of a sudden your body is assimilating work that you've done and you come out transformed on the other side. Me and my wife became absolutely enamored with this lifestyle. We were teaching, training, and educating on the efficacy of essential oils. And we would, each transformational festival, there would usually be a sound bath and we would seek it out. Sound bath, really, really simple: bells, chimes, gongs, didgeridoos, these different instruments, acoustic instruments that angels would play over you while you lay down, and I would knock out cold. Okay, so I'm an audiophile, and meaning I like good sound, crisp audio, and I've always had a good sound system at home. Why can't I recreate this? So I would buy crystal bowl CDs, I would buy gong CDs, I'd go home and put them in my player and I'd start playing them. Okay. I distinctly remember one time in particular, I have 5.1 stereo surround sound with those big front
I do too. Yeah,
I do too. Right? Okay. So I'm in my San Diego house, and from the garage to the kitchen, the living room was in between. I took all the speakers and I'm laying out star eagle, spread eagle. I've got my 2 rear speakers here. I've got the center channel in between my legs. I've got my 2 front speakers on my right and my left, and I am cranking a gong CD that I bought. Okay. So in comes my wife, Ipa, from the car, carrying groceries. Okay. So she literally has to step over me to get to the kitchen, and it didn't even, bless her heart, it didn't even like phase her. She's carrying 2 bags of groceries. I'm laying on the ground. I wake up. I'm like, hi, honey. She's literally like, what are you doing, Craig? And I'm like, I'm trying to recreate a sound bath at home. Like I wanted that on demand, right? So she just kind of shook her head and is working, and it wasn't working, of course. I was using the wrong technology. So fast forward a few years, I get a phone call from my now business partner, Dominic, and he says, hey, you need to come out and check out this new piece of technology that we've improved. We didn't invent it. It's been around for a long time. But he says, we've really taken to this, and we've got a new product, and I have a prototype here, and I'd love for you to come check it out. So I was in New York at the time. I go back to San Diego, and I go into his office, and I had my first sound lounge experience. And at a very high level, you are basically recreating, it's a digital delivery system for sound and frequency directly to the body. What does that mean? Very simply, in fact, it's sitting right here. You can see a piece of it. So it's ergonomically designed. You can see that there are headphones right back there. And you put these headphones on, you lay down on the sound lounge, you're listening to music through headphones just as you normally would. However, there's special technology inside the sound lounge itself. It's called a tactile transducer. It's a fancy word for half of a speaker. And not only are you hearing the frequencies, but you're also feeling those same frequencies.
And you feel it. It's like boom, your whole body, you feel it everywhere. I mean, it's such an amazing visceral experience that it feels like a rocket ship almost taking off.
So the brain, it's really interesting when even as we start to have a conversation around consciousness and energy and vibration, The brain right now is processing my voice, which is being produced by my larynx and coming out, projected out my mouth and hitting air molecule to air molecule until it hits this microphone. It's then going into your listeners' speakers where it's being remodulated and sent through air molecules and air molecules between either their headset or their speakers to their ear, in which the ear is actually converting it into an electrical signal so the brain can process it. Your eyes, 30% of your hearing is actually through your eyes. Your eyes are, if you're watching this on video, you're seeing my lips move. Your brain is going, Craig is speaking, and I have this audio message. Craig must be speaking. That must be Craig's voice. And it's putting two and two together instantaneously so that you can perceive my voice through your ears and those electrical signals. The reason the Sound Lounge is so immersive is because we have these mechanoreceptors in the surface of our skin. It's part of an extension of our nervous system. It's what allows you to feel a breeze blow and different pressure changes in your skin. When you're on the Sound Lounge, the same frequencies that your ear is processing and your eyes are seeing as an audio signal in this particular case. When you're on the Sound Lounge, the same frequencies that are coming through your ears are also coming through the Sound Lounge. It overwhelms the brain. It creates this three-dimensional, fully immersive sound experience that literally the brain goes, I am inside this music because I feel it on every sensor possible. This overwhelms the brain. It actually creates a very, very mild trauma. And the chemical cascades that triggered to support your body in that traumatic state is what gives you that feel-good feeling of amazingness that you're talking about from experiencing the sound. It's really interesting.
You're releasing dopamine then, or is it just?
There's a bunch of different chemical cascades that are triggered. It depends on the track you're listening to. It depends on your headspace. It depends on where you are. But yes, there are a variety of different. There's some cortisol that gets released, and then there's chemical cascades that then intercept.
I felt pain. I felt pain relief too. Like I have back issues, and I definitely felt like that immediate pain relief through it too.
It's interesting. Pain is actually the lowest vibration in the body. Very easy to override that vibration with another vibration. The other way that it's explained, and it's been explained to me, pain can only be perceived by the body in a beta brainwave state. Because remember, it's our brains that are perceiving the neurological experience that's giving us that signal that says pain. So music can induce different brainwave states almost on contact. Almost as soon as it starts playing, the brain drifts. It's one of the reasons why music is so powerful, both to sing and to listen and to participate. When you're on the Sound Lounge, and we've done this through EEG testing, we can induce a different brainwave state within the first 5 seconds of the track. So if you're in a beta brainwave state, and all of a sudden you go onto the Sound Lounge and we put a weighted eye mask on your eyes, which puts pressure on the vagus nerve, which calms and relaxes and diffuses a sympathetic nervous system response to parasympathetic, fancy words for fight or flight, to calm and relaxed. Your entire state changes, and it does so in a very, very short period of time.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed the jump to theta is like, it usually takes me a little bit longer to do that. So
sure, but you got to calm and you got to shift the body. The other aspect of it is vibroacoustics and vibration in general is antispasmodic. So a lot of times the pain you feel, particularly in your back, and I deal with pain every now and again as well, and that discomfort is a lot of times from your muscles tightening around an injury or around a perceived injury, or even an older injury, but the neurological feedback that your brain is getting is to keep that muscle tight. So your just back is tight. It's just not. You always want to stretch. You just can't seem to stretch it out. You get on the Sound Lounge, and it's antispasmodic, so it just calms that muscle and allows it to relax, and it will stay that way so long as that neurological impulse doesn't come back, triggering that pain. So if you are healed and you are in good shape, then once that muscle relaxes, it will stay that way until the next time, of course.
So theoretically, after you can use this a couple times and pretty much get rid of pain, and where you're having pain indefinitely.
We don't want to make claims like that, but generally speaking, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also interesting. I don't know how much my listeners will know about this, but monks, they've talked about using vibroacoustics to move move heavy objects with stones and things like that. What's your take on that?
Oh, I mean, when you start getting into vibration and the pyramids and
Hmm.
how things have been built over the years, I mean, there's obviously interstellar interference, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And I believe we're going to learn about some of these technologies, and it's only a matter of time before
Yeah.
more and more information is released, um, because of this whole time construct just being a human
Yeah.
experience and all space happening at one time. That means everything is happening and it has happened and will happen all at once. Um, I think what we're going to learn about sound and vibration is that the entire universe is comprised of vibration, and therefore the right frequency can quite literally move mountains.
Just giving me the chills. I love that. I love that. So talk about the cushion versus the sound bath for the bed. So because there's
Sure.
two. Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually have three products at inHarmony Interactive. Our Cadillac, if you will, is the inHarmony Sound Lounge. The inHarmony Sound Lounge has four tactile transducers in it. It's powered by a 300-watt amplifier. Comes with this bass, and it's a big unit. It's powerful. It's for in-home use or corporate use, or as a practitioner for a solo
Hmm.
mission. That's the product. The second product that we came out with is called the Practitioner. inHarmony Practitioner. It's designed to go on top of a massage table. I know body workers, and we're in the process of creating our own modality, which will incorporate sound and vibration along with bodywork. That table has two transducers. Doesn't come with a base because it's designed to fit specifically on top of a massage
Hmm.
table. Throw it over your shoulder. It's super portable. Folds up to about the size of a massage table itself. Comes with a bag with wheels, and you can literally take it with you anywhere you're going. The amp is much smaller. It's two transducers. It's lighter. It's easier, and it's meant to be a complementing modality, a secondary modality to bodywork or acupuncture, acupressure, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um, we've been on a quest to get our product as widely adopted as possible. We sell the inHarmony Sound Lounge for $4,737 with free shipping anywhere in the United States. We sell the Practitioner for $2,747. Again, $2,700. We ship it anywhere in the United States for free shipping.
I
We
mean,
wanted
when you
something.
experience this, guys, this is a bargain really for what you're
Look,
getting. It's
and
just
and I want everybody to understand, like, my mission is to proliferate this technology and get it into as many hands as we possibly can. The
absolutely.
reason there aren't more companies doing this is because it's just not an easy process. So people question the price an awful lot, and I'm here to tell you that, look, we make ends meet, and yes, there's of course a little bit of profit in it because it is a business, but at the same time, this is my passion. I
Yeah,
want the entire world to have access to this technology. And
so
I
do
really
I.
look at myself as a steward of the
Hmm.
technology itself. So our mission, me, Dom, Jackie, our mission is to lower the prices as much as possible. And the more economies of scale we get, the more we can produce and sell at one time, the more we're allowed to do that, the more we're able to do that. So we knew that making something more approachable, but again, it's about resources, it's about hardware, it's about cost of goods and running the business the right
Yeah.
way. So the meditation cushion, we've always wanted a product that was less than $500. Our original goal for this was to have this priced at $499 or below. Unfortunately, with supply chain where it is and everything that's been happening over the last 6 months, in particular here in the United States and really beyond,
Hmm.
we weren't able to hit that mark. But the cushion retails for $699. It is on pre-order right now. We did a Indiegogo campaign. We raised $108,000 in 30 days. Since then, we've sold another 50 or 80 units, maybe a little bit more than that. We've got about 350 out of our first 1,000 units that we just ordered and is on its way that have already been sold. And the cushion is different in that the cushion has the hardware embedded within it. So if you were to spin this around, you would find an amplifier that we have embedded. It's never been done before. We created our own amp. We created the hardware that we wanted to see. It is a
Hmm.
dual amplifier. It powers headphones or speakers and the transducer. It's one transducer. It's right at your root, and it's enough to make your teeth chatter. It
Yeah.
literally sends vibrations through your entire body. Is that a good
Yeah.
summation of that right there?
Absolutely. I didn't think it was going to be that powerful. Thinking, oh, this is little cushion. it packs a punch. Like, let me tell you.
Packs a
Yeah.
punch. So we've
Mhm.
also been shifting the conversation as I become more and more knowledgeable around mindfulness and what's happening
Mhm.
in the brain and what our technology does to impact the brain and reinforce the mind-body connection. The conversation has really drifted more towards meditation, mindfulness, and mental health, which today, as we sit here in the, towards the end of October of what we've been dealing with since March
Yeah.
and February of this year, mental health is going to be a really important storyline. And we are honored and excited to be working with people on PTSD, working with them on mental health, helping them to find balance and grounding in this uncertain world. And mindfulness and meditation, to go back to your original question and us talking about my awakening and meditation and mindfulness, when I met Dom and I got on the sound lounge and I began to have my sound experience, all of a sudden I realized that I'm waking up 20, 30 minutes later, not realizing where I've been, the
Been.
physical,
Yeah.
right? And
Mm.
not real, like almost in that dream state. So I'm drifting into alpha and theta, and I'm inducing these different brainwave states. Now, this is before I even knew what was going on. I'm having my meditative experience. So for the last 4 years, since November of 2016, I've been meditating on my sound lounge, sometimes multiple times a day, inducing those
Yeah.
different brainwave states and giving my body the ability to repair itself, because in alpha, theta, and delta, we know the mind and the body repairs itself. So that's why sleep is so important. Going through those sleep cycles is so
Mhm.
powerful. So the meditation cushion has really been an opportunity for us to, one, do something through crowdfunding, which we've always wanted to do. I love the community building aspects of the
Yeah.
crowdfunding,
Yeah.
um, and create an app, create our own music, and really begin to build a community that, because we're doing more volume. So like I said, we've sold close to 400 of these cushions. That allows us to, one, reach a bigger community faster. It makes it much more approachable. I can ship further and more around the world, because the Sound Lounge is a 93-pound box and it's just expensive to ship. It's a
Yeah.
40-pound box to ship the cushion. So um, again, it's just this natural progression of us to get more products in more hands.
Where do you see this the future of these products going and vibroacoustics for you?
I mean, for us,
What
it's really
what are other
continuing.
applications beyond, what ones you've spoken about?
I'll tell you, it's almost like it's almost endless. One of the things that I absolutely love, and we're a perfect example of what I'm about to share. People come over, they have these experiences. You didn't walk in my house knowing what experience you were about to have. Like, you
No.
just came over because Nam was introducing us, and it was like, yeah, I'll try it out. Nam says this is something really cool. Like, you get on the sound lounge and you have these experiences. So here's the interesting aspect of it. Um, you don't need to have a specific intention around your experience for you to have your experience. You
Yeah.
didn't need to get on the sound lounge with the intention of, I'm going to have this experience. The music turned on and you had your experience,
You're off
right?
to the races. Yeah.
So here's why that's particularly exciting, because we're learning more and more about sound and vibration. We're learning more and more about the impact that it has on the body, the mind-body connection, and the mind itself. Um, I see this being integrated into so many different aspects of our overall health and wellness, and so many aspects of our daily lives. I really do look forward to a day when more people are saying, hey, I had a really rough day at work. I'm gonna go home and just lay on the couch and watch TV for a few hours. I
Yeah.
instead I want them to say, you know what? I'm gonna go home and do a 20-minute sound lounge session,
Mhm.
rejuvenate my body, give my body what it craves, which is a little bit of downtime so it can recharge and rejuvenate. And then I'm gonna wake up after that 20-minute session. I'm gonna play with my kids and I'm gonna be a great dad. Right? Instead of being that couch potato that just watches television and wants to turn the rest of the world off, that
Yeah.
instead wants to rejuvenate, recharge, and re-energize every cell in their body so that they can go out there and be a more productive human or contributing human to
It's funny
society.
that I was just going to ask you kind of what's your secret sauce to being a dad, a husband, running multiple businesses and, just being this all around great guy like there you go.
Look, it's a balance of a bunch of different things. We're going to talk about diet. We're going to talk about
Yeah.
nutrition. We're going to talk about detoxifying the world around you. I don't believe that there's any panacea. There's no one single pill that does it all. I can tell you this. I got a lot of really cool toys around me. I got a lot of intention. And look, it's a lot of your listeners are becoming more and more woke each day, right? A lot of your listeners are all of a sudden more consciously aware of something each and every day. And it's from the amazing guests that you have, the concepts that you share, the seeds that you plant, and frankly, the research that triggers like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, I hope people are listening to this conversation right now, Googling vibroacoustic therapy, Googling like vibration therapy, sound baths. Like, I ask people all day long, like, oh, well, are you familiar with sound baths? And they go, well, like yoga, like my yoga studio does sound baths. I've never been to one, but I know they're there. Like, I hope people go down and experience that. I hope people go to inHarmony.com and take a look at the website, or take a look in the show notes if you're going to put it down there, and link
absolutely.
to it.
There'll be links to everything for you to purchase that. And then the next kind of piece to the puzzle that we're going to talk about is the TeamU product. And can you speak a little bit about the nutritional DNA component that you also work with? Because I think this is also very interesting.
All right. So more of my story back in 2012 of kind of my awakening. My wife got sick, and doc after doc, nobody could really tell us what was wrong. It was one of the most challenging times in my life. Now, this is before we went to Burning Man. This was I think it was 3 months before. Actually, it was 6 months before, because it was leading into Burning Man. It was just a couple weeks before Burning Man that we figured out what was going on. For 6 months, doctor after doctor, test after test, we went all over town to try and figure out what was going on with my wife. Every test kept coming back negative. In the end, it wound up being gluten. This pesky little ingredient. We removed it from her diet 100%, and all of her symptoms went away within 72 hours. Okay. Wow. So here I am. I haven't had my awakening yet. I'm still in that world of, I was just kind of doing my thing, right? Thinking I had it all figured out, trying to take the best care of myself as I possibly could, dealing with aches and pains and not wondering what's going on, just being like, I'm getting old. Like, I was 35, like, well, 32, 33, whatever. Like, I'm just starting running through, oh, I get old, I get tired, I get hurt, whatever. Not realizing. So my wife and I, we eat from the same fridge, right? She gives up gluten. I gave up gluten. She gets better. I get worse. Go figure. Okay. So we're like 3 or 4 weeks before Burning Man, and we gave up gluten. And my wife does not want to believe. It's so funny. I tell the story with her around all the time. She's like, there's no way it's gluten. Like, it's this new steroid cream that I was given, and this doc got me on this new thing. Like, I'm like, honey, you gave up gluten 100%, and 3 days later, all of your symptoms go away. Like, if you want to test it, we just have to reintroduce gluten. But let's not do it right now, because we're about to go to Burning Man, and I don't want you to have another flare up. Right now, you're good. We take all of our food with us to Burning Man, so let's just not bring any gluten products, right? It meant no beer. It meant way less alcohol. So you start to think about all the things that contributed to our awakening. And that burn in that desert, our bodies were not distracted by the inflammatory response that gluten was causing. This was a really powerful experience for us. So we went and had that Burning Man experience, and sure enough, we came back, and my wife had one morsel of gluten, and sure enough, all of her symptoms came back. And I was like, honey, I'm sorry, but it's gluten. It's easy enough to fix. Let's cut out gluten. So then she gets better. I start getting worse. This led to me really wanting to understand what was happening from a biochemical perspective on the foods that we eat. Like, what is it about gluten that's really causing? Now, hindsight being 2020, I realized that I have a challenge with my inflammatory response. This gets into the DNA side of what we do. Back then, I didn't know that, but my body was no longer held down by the inflammatory response that gluten was causing because I'd given it up, that all of a sudden it could start to run processes that it hadn't run because it was no longer distracted by the gluten and the inflammatory response. So I started to detox. That detox experience was my body running processes, and it showed and represented itself as what I thought were the symptoms of a head cold or a fever. I had body chills. I had a low-grade fever. I had aches and pains. I had a rash at times. My body was literally pushing toxicity out of my body.
Wow.
It was just absolutely remarkable. So this led to a really deep dive into the science of nutrition the science of agriculture, because once you get into the science of nutrition, you start realizing there are all these residues on our foods, and it all depends on where it comes from. So the science of agriculture, and I've just been immersed along with my wife. We've been immersed in this for the better part of the last 8-9 years, and it's really been a love affair for us to teach people how to truly live a healthy life. Not necessarily with the FDA and the EPA. They're out there to protect us. I get that. We could have a totally different conversation around that.
Yeah.
But like, what does it really mean to be healthy? Like, I talk to people all day long and they're like, well, no, it's not my diet. I eat healthy. And I go, okay, let's, I give them an environmental survey. I say for the next 7 days, every hour, which is set an alarm on your watch or your phone, every hour, I want you to log what you've eaten, what you put in your mouth, what you've put on your skin, so lotions for ladies, the
makeup,
perfume that you wear, makeup that you're wearing, right? All of it. And what environment you're in. Where are you sitting?
And your
Where
laundry
is
detergent,
your
laundry
detergent, clothing. It's actually the first place I go is what laundry detergent are you using? Because the big guys have all sorts of chemicals in our bodies. The whole storyline around all of this is toxicity. The reality is we live in a toxic world. Longer the days where everything is natural fibers and we're off, in nature every day. And no, we're wearing synthetic materials and we're surrounded by technologies that are foreign to this body for the most part. So we are constantly being bombarded with this toxic load. And the more that we can do to reduce the toxic load, the better and more efficiently our body will perform day-to-day function. It's really interesting. The body runs off 102 minerals. So this gets into the science and the background of kind of what we do through the TeamU network. And we're focused on DNA nutrition, DNA wellness products, and overall health and wellness through knowledge. You'll see it, my hat, it says path changers on it because I am a path changer. I seek to catalyze positive changes in health through science, technology, and knowledge. Because if you've ever had that experience where you hear somebody say something and you're like, man, I can't unhear that. You mean these Doritos are not good for me? And like you're forever changed. You're like, well, now I can't eat Doritos. Which I hope you're not eating Doritos. But anyway, like now all of a sudden through knowledge transfer, now all of a sudden you realize like maybe I should be making better decisions for my health. And moving the dial just a little bit can have tremendous impacts on how your brain operates, memory, recall, cognitive ability, how you sleep, how you can deal, frankly, with addiction, how you can deal with some of the not so good decisions that we all make each and every day. I know a lot about this stuff, and I still make bad decisions every now and again. My parents were just here for 7 days. He came home with all sorts of gluten-filled incredibleness that I chose to have. So anyway, the better decisions that we make and just incremental shifts and changes becomes really tremendous. And our work on TeamU is, and as a path changer, is to help people grow in these 7 main areas, which is spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, nutritional, relational, and financial. And through the TeamU network, we teach people day in and day out how to improve themselves and then improve the people around them in those 7 main areas. And one of the biggest is from a nutritional standpoint in this DNA-based nutrition product, which I know we're going to talk about as well.
Yeah, so let's jump into that. How does the kit work, and what's the process that if you want to order this, and what does it look like?
Yeah, so it's and look, I geek out on the science aspect of what we're doing. So layers to this stuff. Okay. We'll just keep it at a really high level just for now.
Yeah, we can get into the deeper stuff next time. I don't want to overwhelm everybody.
Well, so here's the long and the short, and here's what you need to know. And for those that are watching us on video, everybody's familiar with that double helix of DNA, right? So as DNA wellness and since 2003, we've now mapped the entire human genome. So we know all the different genes and the protein structures and how they're laid out. Since then, we've been figuring out what each rung in the ladder actually impacts. What aspect of your overall health and wellness does it impact? What makes your hair brown and my hair brown and my eyebrows brown and my beard brown, right? Now what we're starting to realize is as your cells multiply and that DNA splits in half and transcribes, duplicates itself, there's room for errors in the transcription. And that's about as deep on the science as we need to get. Wherever that error falls, that error is a variant, a genetic variant. It tells us something about a predisposition that you might have. It tells us about a way that your body is designed to interact that might be the same or different from how my body is designed to react. How your body is designed to absorb certain vitamins, minerals, and nutrients compared to my body and others. And once we know your blueprint, once we know how your body is designed to interact with the world around it, we can serve you vitamins, minerals, and nutrients in specific forms at clinical doses to make sure that your body is fortified and strengthening the gaps that are identified and found in your DNA.
Wow.
There's nothing like, I mean, in all of my years in health and wellness, in all of my years in supplementation, I've never seen something so powerful and something so simple. We all know that we're all different. We all know that I'm different than you. It's why gluten doesn't bother me the same way that it bothers you, right? Or that some people can eat. Well, I love dairy. Cheese is great. I can eat 3 slices of pizza and be fine. Whereas I can't. I go back to New York. No, New York pizza is just not on the list anymore, right? The key is unlocked in your blueprint and in your DNA. And once we know how your body is set up, we can then serve you those vitamins, minerals, and nutrients in those doses. So the setup is really simple and really straightforward. We take a swab of your cheek cells. So anybody can do it. You don't have to draw blood. It all happens through the mail. We send your swabs off to a HIPAA-compliant laboratory. All of the prepaid mailers and everything is included in the kit. You pay a lab fee. You pay a report fee. And about 3 weeks later, you get a 35-page wellness action plan. And in that wellness action plan, tells you everything you need to know about your DNA. The company then takes that report, plugs it into this incredible computer system and AI software that they have, and it matches your DNA to 93 plant-based, wild-crafted, organic, when they can be, ingredients. That's it's allergen-friendly, no gluten, no dairy, no peanuts, no soy, and no artificial fillers, no artificial binders, no artificial preservatives. So there's no crud in there. It's all good ingredients, and it's a raw product that's literally, you place the order on Monday, it's made on Wednesday, and it ships to your door on Friday. So it doesn't need to have that shelf life that other manufacturers need to have in the supplement world. So the body simply, and it's made specifically for you in forms that we know your body can absorb to specifically fit like a lock and key into your DNA structure to support and fill in the gaps identified in your DNA.
Now, what do people report from, like, just give me some of the kind of testimonials that you get from people.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. You know, it's interesting. Your formula hasn't been made. The person that's listening to this right now, right? So since your formula hasn't been made, it's really difficult for me to tell you what it's going to do for you, because your formula hasn't been made. There's over 400 million possible formulations. Wow. So literally every single one is different, and name is literally on the outside of the bottle. This is the product. It's called Nutrition. It literally has your name on it. There I am, Craig Goldberg, and it's literally made specifically for me. So here's the reality. The body works off of 102 minerals. And when your body is deficient or your diet is void of any of these nutrients, vitamins, minerals, or nutrients, your body gives you a sign. In modern medicine, we call that sign a symptom. And if you're regularly, chronically deficient in that particular mineral, you develop a chronic ailment or a chronic issue. The body is resilient. When you give the body that vitamin, mineral, and nutrient, you reintroduce it. Like if you have the MTHFR gene, means your body can't methylate folic acid into methylfolate. Folic acid isn't a lot of our food. Body typically methylates folic acid into methylfolate. If you have the MTHFR gene and you got it from both parents, your body cannot methylate folic acid into methylfolate. If you've been consuming folic acid, all of the processes in your body that need folate in order to do what they need to do aren't getting it. Your body is finding another way. When you serve your body, like in this custom formula, we identify that you have the MTHFR gene, you got it from both parents, we serve you a methylated version of folate. All of those processes turn back on. So to answer your question, what people are experiencing in a lot of ways presents itself as a miracle. It presents itself as a process that's been off for so long has now been turned on. And it's really, I mean, it's across the board. People are, it's difficult for me to talk about specifics again, because your formula hasn't been made yet. Here's what I can tell you. I've been using this product since March of 2019. It's the first thing I put in my body every day. It's the last thing I put in my body every single day. I don't like missing it. I feel as strong and as powerful as I've ever felt. Mental acuity, mental agility, memory, recall, focus, drive, stamina. It's 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon here as we record this. I've been going strong since 7 o'clock in the morning.
And I mean, it shows in your personality, just how you are, your aura. It's just, I mean, man, you have such a great energy about you. So, I mean, it definitely shows. So,
appreciate that. Thank you.
No, absolutely. How many people do you guys currently have? How many customers do you currently have using this product?
It's my favorite part of that whole of this whole scenario. So I found out about this on September 28th, 2018. Just coming up on 2 years ago. When I found out about this, less than 100 people on the planet knew the company existed. Wow. Right place, right time. Yeah. Literally, as it was coming to market, somebody brought this to me and said, "Hey, Craig, you've got a background in health and wellness. I kind of trust you on that front. Can you take a look at this and tell me if it's legit?" So I was literally just looking at this for a friend of mine. And as soon as I took a look under the hood, I was like, I'm going to want that in my body pretty quickly. Right. And I've been on it. It took me 4 or 5 months to evaluate the company. And then in March of 2019, I began, and I haven't looked back. Today, somewhere between 15 and 30,000 people are using the product. It's hard for me to judge just because I'm not involved at the corporate level, but and it fluctuates, right? People start and then they stop. But if 30 or 40,000 people have heard of or tried this product anywhere in the United States, Canada, or Australia, I'd be really, really surprised. Company spreads through word of mouth. So it's just friends telling friends telling friends. And we got a lot of people to touch. That's for sure.
Talk about the price, because I know everybody's going to want to know, what does this cost to start on this?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So that kit that starts that starter kit, right? It ranges in price either $259 or $299. That kit includes the report fee, the lab fee, and your first 30 days on something called pre-trition, which is designed to prepare your body for your custom formula. You take that for the first 30 days. It takes about 3 weeks for you to get your report in the mail, and then that custom formula, this bottle cost me $159 a month. Plus tax and shipping. Here in Nevada, I pay $185, about $186. So for just over $6 a day, I get a custom formula made specifically for me, shipped to my door, a 30-day supply, and it comes once a month. Company has one of the best, and I don't just say this lightly. I mean, I really do believe it's one of the best referral programs on the planet. As a customer, you get a replicated website, craig.euphoriascience.com, whatever it would be for you. Just as a customer, you get to share this with people. You might have it on your counter and somebody's like, "Hey, what's that?" It's got your name on it. You go, "Oh, it's my DNA nutrition. It's made specifically for me." And they go, "Well, I want to learn about that." And you go, "Great. Go to my website and pick it up." And if you do, when they get their bottle of nutrition, you get a 25% credit in your back office every month that they order. First customer, 25, second customer, 50% off, third customer, 75%, 4 customers a month, you get 100% off your product every month. You just pay for tax and shipping. So my wife has close to, she's got 40 customers that she's recruited and introduced this to herself. She hasn't paid for her product in months. All right. So the founders of the company never wanted dollars to get in the way. They want to give you an opportunity. And one of the things I really pride myself on, frankly, is teaching people how to earn free product and do it ethically and do it while still maintaining relationships.
That's what's so great is melding this kind of business mindset with community and spirituality. And I think that's getting back to the basics for humanity is really where we need to be, with adding all of these different components of technology and stuff that we're learning about ourselves. And I think that TeamU has done such a great job of that. And I mean, it shows, and I'm super excited to start the product. I just signed up, and so I'm going to be taking it soon. So I'll be able to tell you guys my experience with it.
To think we only met a week ago.
I know, right?
It's amazing.
So, And interestingly enough, I wanted to point out another a very interesting occurrence are the little pictures behind you. And everybody who listens to this podcast knows that I am an Arcturian starseed, and I'm looking at his wall as I'm sitting on that little lounge back there, and I'm like, these are Arcturian symbols. I wonder what that's all about.
They
So
are.
tell
Yes, they
us,
are.
yeah, what drew
So,
you to that?
so I'll tell you, it's really interesting. So, the very spectacular Dorothy. So we did an energetic alchemy course in LA, and Dorothy Lee Donahue taught that course, and we got our Reiki attunement, and we really tapped into understanding the power of energy. And as we started that class, it was taught in her apartment in Sherman Oaks, Los Angeles, and we walk in. It's a full 2-day event, and all of these cards are out. These cards, a little smaller, they were on playing cards, and they're all out in the middle of the and one of the first exercises, middle of the floor. One of the first exercises, Dorothy says, everybody pick a card you like and pick a card you don't like. And I'm like, all right, based on what? She goes, just look at it. If you like it, grab it. If you don't like it,
Mm-hmm.
don't grab it. And I was like, okay. So we grab a couple cards. On the back of each card is the frequency. So each one of these cards was created by a digital artist by the name of Janusz. He is a digital artist. He created over 140 codes. And each code has a specific frequency that it is imprinted upon, that imprints upon your subconscious mind. And you can see it here. My wife created these. She's incredibly talented. I mean, she just went to a store and printed them, but she put the name in the bottom right corner. So the bottom left is patience, abundance, intention, forgiveness, wisdom, harmony, communication, passion. We picked however many are on that wall. I think 18 of the codes that we liked. We have them in our motorhome. We keep them everywhere. And the two cards, I don't remember the card I picked that I liked, but I remember, I think it was Remembrance. The card that I didn't like was Abundance. And I'd been having issues with abundance. Abundance is this one right here.
Yeah.
And I've been having issues with abundance in my life at the time. And I don't know what it was about that picture, but I really just could not stand it. Okay, so because of how these Arcturian codes work, you simply need to have them around in order for them to work, so to speak. So
Activate
I put it on the back of
frequency.
my iPad. I put it as the backdrop on my iPhone, on my computer. I put it literally everywhere.
Yeah.
And by and large, abundance is the lifestyle that I live, and I am surrounded by abundance in everything that I do. So we obviously became enamored with the codes. There's a website, Janusz Art, Janosh art.com, and it's an English version, and you can actually look at all the codes, and you can look at the frequencies, and by and large, there are Arcturian codes. As the story goes, Janusz got these downloads of creating this art, and he began making this art. They mirror crop circles.
Yes, they do.
They match perfectly crop circles that are found and still found to this day. There are so many synchronicities around these codes. Like it's just more. You could probably tell me a lot more about the origin and the download aspect of it, and I'm very much looking forward to unlocking more
that
magic.
part. Yeah. No, I just thought it was super interesting because, and nothing is accidental in this life. And it certainly wasn't an accident that I met you as well. And everything's kind of coming full circle. And it's funny how quick it really happens when you really just pay attention to what's going on around you. And listen, this has been an amazing experience, and I'm looking forward to this journey going even farther with you, Craig. And we'll have you on again I definitely want to start this, and we can get more in depth on the DNA structure and what the science behind it, because I just wanted to give people a brief overview of kind of the stuff that I'm getting into now and where we're going with things. And then, we can next time do a deeper dive. But I just want to thank you so much again for coming on. And it's such a pleasure knowing you. And I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Look, I'll put this out to any of your listeners. If anybody wants more information and beyond the links that we put together, we'll put my contact information for our websites and everything. I'm one of the most approachable, easy to find human beings on the planet. Please reach out, say hello, and I'd love to connect and answer any questions that I can.
You're awesome. Thank you, Craig.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.